Welcome to TEKNXS, a place where technology and finance lovers come to get inspired. Today, we're going to discuss a special topic in which everyone takes interest. Today's topic is real estate crises. Let's start with the topic. What is real estate? Real estate is the property, land, buildings, air rights above the land, and underground rights below the land. The term real estate means real or physical property. Real comes from the Latin root res of things. The U.S. Constitution initially restricted voting rights to only owners of real estate. Types of real estate. There are 4 types of real estate. 1. Residential real estate includes both new construction and resale homes. The most common category is single-family homes. There are also condominiums, co-ops, townhouses, duplexes, triple-deckers, quadplexes, high-value homes, multi-generational, and vacation homes. Number 2. Commercial real estate includes shopping centers and strip malls, medical and educational buildings, hotels, and offices. 3. Industrial real estate includes manufacturing buildings and property, as well as warehouses. The buildings can be used for research, production, storage, and distribution of goods. 4. Land includes vacant land, working farms, and ranches. The subcategories within vacant land include undeveloped, early development or reuse, subdivision, and site assembly. How the real estate industry works. Real estate also refers to producing, buying, and selling real estate. Real estate affects the U.S. economy by being a critical driver of economic growth. Construction of new buildings is a component of gross domestic product. It includes both residential, commercial, and industrial buildings. In 2018, real estate construction contributed to $1.15 trillion to the nation's economic output. That's 6.2% of U.S. gross domestic product. New home building is a critical category. It includes the construction of single-family homes, townhouses, and condominiums. The National Association of Home Builders provides monthly data on home sales and average prices. Real estate agents assist homeowners, businesses, and investors buy and sell all 4 types of properties. Sellers agents help find buyers through either the multiple listing service or their professional contacts. They price your property using comparative listings or recently sold properties known as comps. They can help you spruce up your property so it will look its best to customers. They assist in negotiations with the buyer, helping you get the highest price possible. Buyers agents provide similar services for the home purchasers. They know the local market. That means they can find a property that meets your most important criteria. They also compare prices, called doing comps. It allows them to guide you to areas that are affordable. What is the real estate market? A real estate market usually constitutes one of the biggest shares of the economy of every single country. For instance, in the USA, real estate market output generates $1.34 trillion. Such an amount of money produced, 7% of U.S. gross domestic product. A similar level of shares are important to see from several points of view. Generally, a real estate market consists of several components. However, the 2 most valuable are residential and commercial real estate components. For example, the commercial property produces money not only directly as an employer and money earner, however also indirectly as a creator and executor of places for realtors, to name just one. Real estate investing. Everyone who buys or sells a home engages in real estate investing. That means you must consider several factors. Will the house rise in value while you live in it? If you get a mortgage, how will future interest rates and taxes affect you? Many people do so well with investing in their homes, they want to buy and sell homes as a business. You can flip a house and so many ways to do that. That's where you buy a house to improve, then sell it. Many people own several homes and rent them out. Real estate crisis and its impact. Development projects last for more than a year, and such kind of duration brings a significant portion of risk with. Although any risk decreases the probability of overall project feasibility, most of them are easily manageable. However, crises regularly happening in the real estate markets all over the world together are much more dangerous and harder to manage than others. Even if such a crisis is not occurring very often, its consequences usually change the market completely. Our goal is to analyze the impacts of the real estate crisis on development projects and to provide recommendations on how such impacts could be reduced. We are focused on development projects and financial crisis, mostly dealt with consequences caused by the financial crisis of 2008. On the other hand, it is important to mention that such a crisis has not been solitarily in history. Real estate impacts on U.S. economy. Real estate plays an integral role in the U.S. economy. Residential real estate provides housing for families. It's the greatest source of wealth and savings for many Americans. Commercial real estate, which includes apartment buildings, creates jobs and spaces for retail, offices, and manufacturing. Real estate businesses and investment provide a source of revenue for millions. Real estate construction is labor-intensive and a major force in job creation. The drop in housing construction was a big contribution to the recession's high unemployment rate. The ripple effect of real estate. Construction is the only part of real estate that's measured by GDP, but real estate affects many other areas of economic well-being that aren't measured. For example, a decline in real estate sales eventually leads to a decline in real estate prices. That lowers the value of all homes, whether owners are actively selling or not. It reduces the number of home equity loans available to owners. This ultimately reduces consumer spending as more homeowner cash is tied up in home projects. Almost 70% of the U.S. economy is based on personal consumption. A reduction in consumer spending contributes to a downward spiral in the economy. It leads to further drops in employment, income, and consumer spending. If the Federal Reserve doesn't intervene by reducing interest rates, then the country could fall into a recession. The only good news about lower home prices is that it lessens the chances of inflation. Real estate in the 2008 recession. There's no better example of real estate's impact on the economy than the 2008 financial crisis. Falling home prices initially triggered the downturn, but few realized it at the time. In response to a struggling housing market, the Federal Market Open Committee began lowering the Fed fund rate. It dropped the rate from 3.5% to 3%. President Bush signed a tax rebate bill to help the struggling housing market. The bill increased limits for Federal Housing Administration loans. The 2008 financial crisis affected Wall Street, Main Street, and the banking industry. The Federal Reserve and Bush administration worked hard to avoid a complete collapse, but they almost didn't succeed. A majority of Americans believe the real estate market will crash in the next 2 years. They see housing prices stagnating and the Fed beginning to drop interest rates. To them, it looks like a bubble waiting to burst. According to the National Association of Realtors, by July 2007, the median price of an existing single-family home was down 4% since its peak in October 2005. But economists couldn't agree on how bad that was. When borrowers defaulted, the mortgage-backed securities had questionable value. So many investors then tried to exercise their credit default swaps that AIG ran out of cash. Cause of the crisis. In 2006, housing prices started to fall for the first time in decades. They didn't realize there were too many homeowners with questionable credit. Many blamed the Community Reinvestment Act, which pushed banks to make investments in subprime areas. Several studies by the Federal Reserve found it did not increase risky lending. Huge funds and other financial institutions around the world owned the mortgage-backed securities, but they were also in mutual funds, corporate assets, and pension funds. In 2007, banks began to panic once they realized they would have to absorb the losses, and they stopped lending to each other. They didn't want other banks to give them worthless mortgages as collateral, and as a result, interbank borrowing costs, called LIBOR, rose. Typical causes of a crisis on real estate markets. A probable worst concern in every business for entrepreneurs is a crisis. On one hand, a crisis can also bring some positives for businesses and customers, like product prices of products go down, or weak competitors or suppliers are not good enough to survive. On the other hand, the crisis mostly brings negatives, and in many cases has been devastating for plenty of entrepreneurs. In the history of humankind, there have been plenty of reasons for a crisis in countries, regions, or continents. Each reason could be analyzed from a different point of view. Providing a better overview of the crisis, it is convenient to look at one real estate market. The crisis in the USA has been repeated in the period of 18 years. The biggest exception was caused by World War II, when the timing of happening changed almost everything. Although the time period of 18 years is more than a quite interesting, crucial reasons for crisis occurrences can be described following. Property prices. Peaks in land value as well as property price peaks have been reached only for a short time, usually less than 2 years, before the crisis happened. Interest rates. Based on the historical records, real estate interest rates hit their peak almost immediately once land values peaked. Construction work. Construction work is pretty much similar to property prices, as there is clear fact of having reached the peaks in construction volume of work and prices just a year or two before the crisis occurred. After the peak of prices is reached, people start being reluctant to pay as much as before, as well as demand is getting decreased. How the real estate crisis affected your lives. Express your thoughts and comments. We reply to each of your individual comments. For more updates, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel.